Have you ever stumbled upon an ancient mystery so unsettling it makes you question everything you thought you knew? The Nephilim, these shadowy figures from the Bible and other ancient texts, are not just some forgotten myth. They're a puzzle that's haunted scholars, theologians, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. Were they towering giants who walked the earth? Fallen angels who broke divine laws? Or something even stranger? Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most controversial enigmas, and what you're about to discover might just rewrite how you see the past. 1. The shocking first mention of the Nephilim. Genesis 6 verse 4 drops this bombshell. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. That's it. No explanation, no backstory. Just a cryptic line that sparked endless debate. Who were these sons of God? Why were their offspring called Nephilim, a word often translated as giants or fallen ones? And why does this feel like a story someone tried to erase? The phrase sons of God is where things get really controversial. Some scholars argue these were divine beings, angels who crossed a forbidden line. Others claim they were just powerful human rulers claiming divine status. But the Hebrew word used here, B'nai Ha-Elohim, appears only a handful of times in Scripture, always referring to supernatural beings. Why would ancient scribes risk including such a bizarre detail unless it meant something monumental? Even more intriguing, early Jewish commentaries like the Talmud describe these beings as descending to earth, implying they came from somewhere else entirely. And then there's the name itself, Nephilim. Most translations say giants, but the root word naphal means to fall. Fallen ones. Could this be a double meaning? Giants in stature, yes, but also fallen in a spiritual sense? The ambiguity is deliberate. Ancient texts often encoded dangerous truths and layers of meaning, forcing readers to dig deeper. Maybe that's why this single verse has spawned thousands of years of debate. 2. Giants in ancient texts. More than just myths. From the Bible to the Book of Enoch to Sumerian tablets, accounts of giant beings pop up everywhere. The Israelites feared them. Goliath might have been one. Even Greek mythology has its titans. But here's what's wild. These stories span continents and cultures that supposedly never interacted. So why do they all describe the same thing? Coincidence? Or evidence of something real? Take the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example. The Sumerian king list describes rulers who lived for tens of thousands of years and stood over 10 feet tall. Half god, half human, just like the Nephilim. The Aztecs had their Quinametsan giants, said to have built the pyramids. Even the Norse had their Jotnar, towering beings who warred with the gods. The consistency is eerie. Either every ancient culture independently invented the same tall tale, or they were documenting something real. Modern excavations add fuel to the fire. In the 1800s, newspapers like the New York Times reported giant skeleton discoveries in Native American burial mounds, some with double rows of teeth. Smithsonian records mention these finds, yet the bones mysteriously vanished. Official explanations call it hoaxes or misidentified mastodon bones. But why would so many unrelated sources, from soldiers to farmers to archaeologists, report the same thing? 3. The hope hidden in the chaos. Before you spiral into conspiracy mode, let's pause. What if these stories are not just about destruction? Some scholars argue the Nephilim narrative is a warning, a lesson about pride and boundaries. Maybe the real message is not about monsters, but about humanity's resilience. After all, every culture that survived these giants thrived afterward. That's a pattern worth noticing. There's a reason these stories survived. They're not just about destruction, they're about survival. The flood narrative, for instance, is not just divine punishment, it's a reset button, a chance for humanity to start over. The Book of Enoch even hints that the Nephilim's corruption forced humans to evolve morally. Without that crisis, would we have developed laws, ethics, or even compassion? This theme echoes in modern myths too. Think of Lord of the Rings. Sauron's evil forces the races of Middle-earth to unite. Or Star Wars, where the Empire's tyranny sparks rebellion. The Nephilim might represent that universal catalyst, the darkness that forces light to grow stronger. That's not just ancient wisdom, it's a survival blueprint we still use today. 4. The Dark Theory. Fallen angels and forbidden knowledge. The Book of Enoch goes full thriller mode. It claims the sons of God were rebel angels who taught humans forbidden arts, war, sorcery, even makeup. Yes, Really? Their hybrid offspring, the Nephilim, became tyrants. God's response? The flood. But here's the twist. Enoch was banned from the Bible for centuries. Why? Was it too explosive? Too close to the truth? Enoch's ban text gets wilder. These fallen angels did not just teach warfare. They allegedly revealed celestial secrets, astrology, metallurgy, even abortion techniques. Ancient astronaut theorists like Eric von Daniken argue this sounds like advanced technology given to primitive humans. But here's the kicker. Enoch claims these secrets corrupted Earth so badly, the planet itself cried out for justice. That's not just supernatural drama, it's an ecological warning. Sound familiar? The punishment was equally extreme. The rebel angels were imprisoned in a place called Tartarus, a term later borrowed by Greek mythology. Their hybrid children, the Nephilim, were wiped out. But Enoch insists some survived, becoming the evil spirits that haunt humanity. Could this explain why every culture has ghost stories? Or why some paranormal encounters feel inhuman? 5. Modern science weighs in, and it's mind-blowing. In 2018, archaeologists in Israel uncovered massive underground tunnels with 10-foot-tall skeletons. Mainstream science called it a hoax, but the photos went viral. Meanwhile, geneticists are finding unknown DNA in ancient bones. Could this be evidence of the Nephilim? Or just wishful thinking? Either way, it's forcing us to ask, what do not we know about human history? The scientific pushback is telling. When those giant skeletons surfaced in Israel, officials quickly labeled them anomalous Neanderthals. Yet Neanderthals averaged just 5 feet 6 inches. Similarly, Peru's elongated skulls were dismissed as head-binding, despite DNA tests showing unknown mutations. Why the rush to debunk? Because giants challenge the evolutionary timeline. If 10-foot humans existed, our entire understanding of history shifts. Geneticists are quietly finding oddities too. In 2022, a study of ancient Basque DNA revealed markers with no known origin. Some researchers whisper about non-human admixture. Of course, mainstream science dismisses this as contamination. But when you connect the dots, giant myths, strange bones, rogue DNA, it paints a picture academia is not ready to acknowledge. 6. The empowerment moment. Why this matters to you. This is not just about dusty old texts. It's about power, who writes history, who controls knowledge. Think about it. If beings like the Nephilim existed, what else were we taught to dismiss? Questioning these stories is not crazy. It's how we reclaim curiosity. And curiosity is how we uncover truth. This is not about fear, it's about agency. If elites have hidden humanity's true past, uncovering it is an act of defiance. Look at how suppressed texts like Enoch resurfaced during political upheavals. The Dead Sea Scrolls were found as Israel became a nation. The Nag Hammadi Library emerged post-World War II. Coincidence? Or proof that truth fights back when power structures crack? You do not need a degree to question history. Start with local legends. Most towns have a giant's grave or devil's chair folklore. Visit museums. Notice how ceremonial artifacts often look like advanced tools. The clues are everywhere once you know how to look. 7. The cover-up theory. Why you've never heard the full story. Ancient rulers had a habit of erasing inconvenient truths. The Vatican's secret archives? Filled with suppressed texts. The Smithsonian's lost giant skeletons? Conveniently missing. Maybe the Nephilim weren't wiped out, just scrubbed from history. But here's the good news. The internet is breaking those chains. You're part of that revolution. The Smithsonian's missing giants are just the tip of the iceberg. In 1912, the American Antiquarian published photos of a 12-foot skeleton found in Wisconsin. By 1934, both the bones and the journal's publisher had disappeared. Even today, federal laws like NAGPRA prevent testing of many Native American remains, allegedly to respect traditions, but conveniently blocking research. Compare this to how mainstream media treats the topic. When the History Channel's Ancient Aliens mentions giants, they're mocked as conspiracy theorists. Yet the same network airs documentaries on Egyptian pharaohs, who claim to be descended from gods. The double standard is glaring. 8. Real-life Nephilim hunters and what they found. Meet the researchers risking ridicule to dig deeper. Like Dr. Steve Quayle, who tracks giant legends worldwide. Or L.A. Marzulli, who claims to have DNA proof. Are they onto something? Or chasing ghosts? Either way, their work proves one thing. The Nephilim mystery is not going away. Marzulli's DNA research is particularly explosive. He claims some Paracas skulls, Peru's elongated heads, contain a gene variant called FOXP2, linked to speech and cognition. If true, it could mean these beings were smarter than humans. Meanwhile, Quayle's global database of giant reports shows clusters near ancient mining sites, as if they were seeking resources. Skeptics call this pseudoscience, but consider, universities will not touch these specimens. Why? Because peer review requires access and museums will not share. It's a perfect catch. 22. Independent researchers are literally crowdfunding labs to bypass the gatekeepers. That's not fringe, it's the scientific method in exile. 9. The spiritual perspective, a warning or a gift. Some theologians say the Nephilim were a test, a lesson in free will. Others believe their bloodline still exists, influencing power structures today. But the most empowering view? These stories remind us that even in chaos, humanity endures. That's not just hope, it's a call to action. The bloodline theory gets darker. Some claim certain elite families trace their lineage to Nephilim, explaining their obsession with eugenics and occult symbols. But the counterargument is empowering. If their power comes from secrecy, exposure breaks the spell. That's why declassifying documents or leaking rituals causes panic. Knowledge truly is power. On a spiritual level, the Nephilim story mirrors every hero's journey. The monster must be faced to earn the reward. Whether literal or symbolic, these beings represent the shadow we must integrate to evolve. Carl Jung would call it confronting the collective unconscious. Modern therapists call it shadow work. The lesson transcends time. 10. Your role in the mystery. History is not set in stone. It's a debate, and you're invited. Maybe the Nephilim were giants. Maybe they were metaphors. But the real question is, what will you do with the mystery? Keep digging. Stay skeptical. And most importantly, never let anyone tell you the past is not worth questioning. So what's your take? Giants, angels, or something else entirely? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. And if you're ready to go deeper, hit subscribe. Because this is just the beginning.